All right, we're about to go. Okay, because Will jumped in. Oh, I see you, Will. All right, I think we're about to go live in 2, 3. Let me make sure. All right, we're about to go. And with that, I think we are now live. Hold up 1 second. Let me make sure. 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Politics Happy Hour Culture Conversations. It's your boy, Mr. Cameron Calvin, aka Mr. Hip Politics. We're back with the 6th edition. It's gotten better, better each time we've done this. Another great group of all-star political insiders, social activists, culture creators, thought leaders, culture commentators, content creators, and if I'm missing you, and political strategists and just cool ass people that I wanted to get together to just have some conversation on how we're doing some community, engaging community. Ooh, man, somebody hit me right. Oh, sorry. This is live TV. This is live TV. Sorry, this is live. My bad. Sorry, my bad. I'm like going live and somebody's calling me. But I will hit them back. But anyways, so thank you everybody for kind of tuning in. Wanted to make sure we first raise the glass. We're kind of through, what is this, week 3 of quarantine. Everybody seems to be going well, so cheers with that. We'll kick it off. My first question, I just want to kind of throw out, like I said, throw out to the entire group, and feel free, anybody kind of jump in and talk about it, is that how are you staying engaged with your community, whether you talk about your community through all of this crisis? Like, how are you staying engaged? And you can take that question anywhere you want, whether it's your family and your friends, whether it's the community your business or audience serves, whether it's your social media community, but just how are you staying engaged and connected to your community? No, go.
I'll take that one.
Yeah, go.
I'll take that one. Hi, everybody. My name is Natalie Dean. I am the founder and executive director of Wine and Cheese Incorporated, which is a nonprofit organization that creates community for professional women. And our organization actually puts emphasis on meeting in person and kind of getting away from your screens to have one-on-one or personal interaction. So the way that we've actually maintained our community is kind of going against what we initially preached. We've joined platforms like Marco Polo, which is the video messaging app, where we can upload a video just updating everybody on how life is during quarantine. We also have a GroupMe channel, so we can quickly text one another. In terms of my personal community, I do group FaceTimes with my parents and my sister, but at a time like this, we've definitely had to pivot, because I have always been of the mind that, you know, being able to hug somebody and hold their hand is really important, especially in a day and age where social media has taken over. But understanding and being grateful for platforms like this, like Zoom, and like Marco Polo and others, when you have to pivot.
Anybody else? What are y'all doing?
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about personally and then professionally. So personally, I'm an extrovert introvert. So
wait, Temi, something's going on with your sound.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm an extroverted introvert, so I can be on my own and I do well on my own. Introspection is important to me. So personally, I feel like I call my relatives, check in once a day. Professionally, my community is Black people, and so I work at a private foundation. We're a regional funder, and we fund in DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And so how we're checking in with community is really about the organizing. We fund specifically systems change work, so dismantling systems of white supremacy, and acknowledging that, like, the organizations that we fund, because we don't do direct services, we fund advocacy and systems change organizations, but acknowledging that these organizations and these grantees, and not even just our grantees, but organizations that are supporting the Black community and Black and Brown communities specifically in the DMV region, are pivoting to do direct services, right? Like they are doing rapid response in this moment. And so us as a funder, it's how do we show up and support them? And so we're relying on them to tell us what they're doing and what their needs are. And then we're pooling our resources. Our foundation, we just released $75,000 specifically to fund these organizations that don't traditionally do direct services, that are now pivoting in this moment to do direct services for the people most in need. And the people most in need are the impacted communities, and they are by and large Black and Brown communities that are low income, right? And so how do fund, and then we also look at ourselves as our influence in the sector. So how do I also get my colleagues who have bigger endowments than mine to fund this work, right? So how do we all coordinate and pull our monies together and support the community? And so that's what we're doing right now.
Is anybody else like something that outside of Zoom? I feel like obviously we're on Zoom right now. A lot of people are doing the Zoom, Google Hangout, Marco Polo, Blue Jeans, Wave. Outside of that, what is it like? Are you texting more? Or maybe even if it is Zoom, but something inventive, like what are people doing to like connect with? Like, I'm curious how people are connecting with their families and their friends right now.
Yeah, what's going on, Cam? I'll take this one, if you don't mind. Okay, so what's up, everybody? My name is Jermon Williams. I am the co-founder of Broccoli City Fest. Let's see. Personally, my wife and I begin every day by doing devotionals together. So that's the way we feed each other and sort of lift each other up. And from there, it's just connecting with parents, connecting with family and friends on all platforms. So via text, picking up the phone and making that phone call. Hitting folks through DM, group me's, WhatsApps, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, it could be any platform, but we're just utilizing every platform available just to hit people. I mean, we've even gotten our parents involved, more involved on Facebook and sort of using video chat to sort of see us, since we can't, since we can't really touch them right now. In terms of the Broccoli City community, we're doing what we've been doing. And which is, connecting with folks digitally and where they are. So that could be with fresh content, coming up with content, relevant content, that makes sense now, that can keep people engaged, that can give people tips, and that can help people out, during this time. And one thing we're working on building out is a series of masterclasses. So we have.
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
like you do during Broccoli City Con,
so basically building out Broccoli City Con and basically placing that on a digital platform. So right now, if you go to bcfestival.com, you'll see a page for BC University, and so we'll be housing all of that masterclass content under BC University. And so right now, you can go there and you can rewatch segments from last year's BroccoliCon. We got a lot of really, really dope people on there sharing gems and knowledge. So
I'm curious. Okay. My question would outside of like how you guys are staying connected, how are y'all getting like your information? Because 3 weeks in, I've had to start to turn off CNN a little bit more. I've had to I need to be involved because that's what my job entails. So I gotta watch certain stuff, but just the overload of like numbers and the death and toll rises as we get more tests. And so it's like, what's leading the news, but still wanting to be informed, want to create a conversation, like trying to get that mental health balance. Like we're all back to work. Everybody's either working from home, or if you're an entrepreneur, you're impacted and you're trying to come up with a new plan and a strategy to create work. But I'm curious, like what information, now that we've been in this for a few weeks, like what information, like are you just regular updates, CNN, or is it something else? Like how are y'all getting your information out?
This is Andrew. So I'm Andrew Lee. I'm the artistic director of DC Strings Workshop. We're a Ward 8-based nonprofit. We believe in making music accessible, so we present concerts, we're an orchestra, we travel, we perform at the Kennedy Center. But how do I get my news? I would say that mainly on the ground, through my friends, through my network. I have several friends that are medical professionals and family, so I talk to them. I've realized that, checking CNN every day and every night isn't necessarily the healthiest thing for me mentally. So I've kind of taken a step back from consuming so much news because it's so disjointed and it's kind of difficult to understand what to trust or what's actually factual. So that's one strategy or one thing that I'm thinking about this crisis.
I've also, this is Nina Archie, by the way, diversity and tech policy advisor for the Commercializer. I basically gain a lot of information to basically get away from misinformation from Twitter. So Twitter has I've basically gotten a
So you sorting through everything on Twitter. You sorting through the good and the bad on Twitter.
Yes, but I will say this. I follow a lot of C-SPAN on Twitter. That's one of my main sources. They are always pretty much, accurate. They're going to give you basically everything straightforward without a lot of, misinformation. So following a lot of different people that actually are experts in the field has been very, very good for me. So I know Dr. Fauci, he's somebody that has like a lot of different conferences, whether it's on CNN or it's also with other people, such as recently the basketball player, Steve Curry. He recently had like a one-on-one with him, but I tend to follow C-SPAN as well as other medical and health professionals. And they also give you a lot of tips on different technology that's being used in the United States as well as around the world to help mitigate the risk of COVID-19.
I'm curious to Delora and Nicol. You guys both are at intersections of the government in technology policy, and this is unlike a time I've ever seen from all my time. Like we're not technically in session. Like the Capitol has been closed down to the public. I was here during 9/11. That only closed this down for a little bit, but this could be something that could last for a while. Like in both of your intersections of kind of like government and policy, like how do you see this landscape changing now? Like in Corona, but almost kind of post-Corona. Like how are you guys going to be interacting with your government clients and your different clients, and you're from the Brookings, and then I know at Cornerstone, like you guys are doing a lot of public affairs and government relations as well. Like, I'm curious. I just been wanting to hear what your thoughts.
Do you want to go? So I'll go first. This is Nicol Turner-Lee. I'm at the Brookings Institution. I'm a fellow there. Hey, Cam, been trying to get me on the show for a minute, so I'm glad I'm actually learning this Zoom piece. When I just want to respond quickly, like when people said, how do you keep in touch with people? I pick up the phone because I spend so much time on this thing that it kind of drives me wild. I had to ask Cam the other day, I had no Zoom calls and I was pretty happy because I'm having a hard time as a Black woman trying to figure out what to do with my hair at this time. So this has been a very, very, YouTube can teach me so much, and I have a daughter, so we're in this together. So what I was going to say to the policy part of it, this is a really tough time. And I think everybody has pretty much been pretty spot on in terms of not wanting to watch the news. But if you miss out on the news, you miss out on what's actually happening in terms of the fragmentation of the systems that are actually in place, how people of color in particular are being exploited in this situation. I mean, I was so astounded by the number of people who filed unemployment claims the other day. I had to text one of my colleagues and say, is this for real? And then I think about the fact that people of color were, often the last hired and the first fired, how we're going to actually come out of this with a big old crisis. And so I think as a policymaker in the space that I am, it's my job to keep the voice active. I was just talking to a civil rights group today about, no one has thought about what's the Black agenda pre and post COVID-19, because there's going to be a lot of businesses that are going to be shut down. There's going to be a lot of people who may not qualify for our IRS stimulus check simply because they haven't filed taxes in a really long time. There are going to be people who worked as hair braiders and others that, are not in the IRS system that are going to take some time to actually qualify for some of the stimulus fundings. There's going to be people who, despite their landlords telling them that they basically have amnesty when the 3 months are up. They're going to be looking for their money and they ain't going to have it. And so I'm really trying to stay in the space of being present to what's actually happening around us, while also serving as a mouthpiece in the space that I work, which is telecommunications and technology policy, as well as civil rights, to keep that message strong. But I have to tell you, it's hard. I find myself on the couch with the TV on after watching several briefings, saying to myself, how do we get here? And when I get up and I run in the morning, first of all, I never ran before in my entire life, but I get up and I run now to clear my head. But to your point. A lot of people
are picking up, I feel like to that point, a lot of people are picking up little extra habits and stuff that they're doing. Delora, I'm curious, like what you obviously interact with like the government, coming from public affairs and federal relations, and like at least you're working in that world. Yeah. How are you guys communicating how are you getting information? Because they're like, I've seen so many government people and employees, and maybe Cliff can even speak to this, like how they're getting information disseminated to their bosses and these elected officials. Right. They're relying on different groups, and then everybody's coming to you and like, all right, well, how do I still get my priorities addressed and taken care of? Like, how is that landscape changed or changing?
It is, it's very busy, certainly. Like, well, I'm Delora Sanchez Ifekauche. I'm a principal at Cornerstone, which is a national lobbying firm. So we have our national clients, and then I have a group of primarily healthcare clients on the state level, and just responding to, making sure that you're understanding the legislation that's coming out of Congress, understanding what it means for your clients. Like Cameron, like you were saying, they want to know, how am I affected? How can I utilize any of the aid that's coming? I mean, there's a good point made previously where, I'm really looking at everything that's happening, but we do need to make sure that our communities are reaching into and able to utilize some of the things that we're seeing as far as aid goes. Unfortunately, there are just some communities that won't be able to. Like, I think a lot of people were surprised when they found out when the CARES Act was approved that if you owed back child support, you would not receive any dollars from that. And that's something that was kind of tucked in.
That hit a lot of people.
But just with clients, they call all the time on a state level when the governor releases an executive order, which has started to be every other day. They want to know, for my cannabis clients, they want to know if they are essential, businesses. Can they stay open? Can those kind of things. So I'm getting my information still very much from legislators, policymakers, and leading experts like at Johns Hopkins. Someone mentioned misinformation. There's a ton of that out there, and it's dangerous. It's really dangerous, and it's coming from the top, unfortunately, in many, many ways. So just really kind of trying to separate that and parse out what's real from what's not real, what's actually not real, what's rumors, and what's actually fact, and pushing that out to clients. It's like a 24-hour thing. Working at home, everyone thinks that, oh, it's chill. I can put on my sweatpants, but you're working from the.
You at least got to be dressed to top up. You at least got to be dressed to top up. And like, I shaved. I was wolfing for like the first 2 weeks. I was wolfing for like. Temi, I'm curious. You do a lot of like intersection of like policy and government, and I'm curious, like, how are you connected with them now that everything is virtual?
So sorry, so I'm Director of Policy and Communication at Consumer Health Foundation. And so we're a local foundation in the region, but prior to joining philanthropy, I was with DC government. And so I was at DC Council. Beyond national politics, like I am involved in DMC, Trump is whatever. I'm a fan of local politics. I'm hyper local. And so that's where I get my information from. If I don't know, like ballots, so I'm gonna talk DC, I'm gonna talk hyper local for a second. Ward 7 and 8 is Black, right? And every other ward in DC is mixed for the most part. Black people are east of the river. And when you're looking at the statistics that are coming out, like Black, like, and this is, it can be like, you've seen it, like Michigan is the first state that actually is reporting racial demographic when it comes to COVID-19, and you see Black people are dying at a higher rate, right? So it's not about like, at the end of the day, Black people, this is gonna hit us harder than anybody else. People like what Madonna called it the equalizer. It's not an equalizer. It's not an equalizer because like, I mean, I don't like the Cuomo brothers because they're capitalists, but I fuck with Chris Cuomo's newscast, and he can quarantine in a basement apartment that looks beautiful. But what about a Black family that lives with their family in a one room apartment, right? Like we don't have that luxury. And so I think that there is a missing conversation when it comes to race in COVID-19, in the rapid response and where the resources are being allocated. When you look at Trump, they're talking about the reservations, and absolutely the indigenous tribes. They've taken the medical staff from the indigenous tribes to like respond to COVID-19 and the mass situation. So absolutely reservations need that support. But Black low income, like the people that are going to feel it the most are poor people. And majority low income Black people and Black and brown people, right? We're talking about immigrant communities, and we're talking about African American communities. And when you look at ProPublica just published a report that said that Black people are dying already at an alarming rate, and we still don't have the data. We still don't have the data.
Right.
I'm curious about like Cliff, like you're back in Cleveland and have worked obviously for congressional members, for politics campaigns, but you're working in a city that has a large Black community, has a large poor Black community as well. Like coming from there, I'm curious, like what is being done to address some of that, at least on a local level? Because I'm not back home as much, so I'm curious to like, is our community even getting the information to take it seriously, and then is stuff at least in the local level out there being done?
So there's a lot of stuff being done, Cam, on a local level, but like we talked about earlier with information, there's so much misinformation going out right now that is confusing. So I'm a director for a member of Congress office here in Cleveland, and I'm answering all the phone calls right now. Every call we get, for the most part, is some person with a question who got the wrong information about their stimulus check, about what's shut down, about what's essential. And what we're starting to see is there's so many different communities that are hurting. We close the schools. The schools for many of these students are the safe place where they get their meals from. Then we close the libraries. The libraries were the secondary place they got their meals from. So we're still going through a lot of steps to figure stuff out here on the ground. It's running relatively well, but there's a lot of questions because of all the misinformation.
Right. And Cam, can I jump into real quick on this? I mean, I think also it has to do with misinformation, but an area that I focus a lot on is everything is also going online, right? So we've been sort of shocked into this new digital economy where we didn't even have equitable access. So there's about 20 million people that just actually don't have broadband. So all these 55 million kids that are actually out of school, schools are not going online with remote learning because a big swath of their communities are either low income or in areas where it's rural, etc. So I think what, going back to what everybody said, what we're actually seeing is really this conglomerate of inequality that's actually surfacing here. I liked what Temi was saying also because African Americans are most affected by chronic disease. No one has given us the stats on where African Americans fall in this. So I really appreciate the data you're giving. I've been looking for that data myself. Like, where are people?
Make sure you have to connect via email on that.
Yeah, we need to really know what that data is. I mean, we're seeing on Instagram and Facebook among our friendship groups. I'm sure each and every one of us are seeing somebody who's on one of our social media platforms that's either sick or somebody died. And so I think that anecdotal collection of data is not going to do us any good, particularly since all of these disparities, health disparities, broadband disparities, income inequalities are all kind of surfacing right at the same time.
If I can comment on that really fast, and Temi brought it up, and thank you for bringing it up. We already have issues with bias in the medical field. We hear about Black women dying in childbirth at much higher rates than other women. And to your point, Temi, I think right now, so I'm in the Baltimore area, right now we do have legislators that have been demanding to get demographic information, to get race information, because it's so important, because what we're seeing now, we saw it in Italy, we're starting to see it in New York, we're seeing it in Louisiana, where so many of the regulatory rules for healthcare have been relaxed because they're trying to move things through faster. So what we're going to see as these numbers go up is that you're going to have a person in the healthcare space saying, you get a ventilator, you don't. And when it comes down to it, whether or not brown and Black people are going to get those ventilators, are going to get that extra attention, are going to get that follow-up, are going to be listened to when they say, I can't breathe, or, you know, I'm in pain. We don't always see that. We didn't see that before this pandemic. So that's why it's so important to have those numbers. I completely agree.
We definitely not about to see them now in the sense of when we're needed. I wanted to get follow up to a couple of those answers. Edric, bro, how are you? You an energy person, you a people person. I'm curious, how are you looking at this now? Like, we're about to come into the spring and summer months. I know, and this is a little bit, like, again, this is a little bit of a lighter note, but something that it is still kind of coming up on me is that our whole psyche about wanting to be together, I feel like is about to change. Like, it's something that's great, both socially, physically, good workout, like the group going out and playing flag football. We're going up in a softball season. I know, like, so many different people are going outside. Like, this is something that I think being stuck in the house, one of the things that I'm wary of is just like eating and sitting, like just not putting enough steps in, miles in, keeping that physical fitness. Like, you're trying to do these fitness challenges, but there's so much other things that come. I'm curious to, like, when you start thinking about what are you going to do? Are you even going to want to go back outside this summer and play flag football? Are you even going to want to go back outside and like really exercise in the gym? Like how have you started to come to grips with that?
Oh, bro, let me tell you straight up. I can't wait to get back outside and play football. I'll tell you that. But hey, what's good, everybody? I'm Edric Kirkman. Me and Cam go back to the Hill playing flag football with the Congressional Black Associates Turkey Bowl. And professionally, I also work on the IT side for a federal agency. I also am the vice president for the Social Justice Ministry for Alfred Street Baptist Church. I can tell you, man, we've gotten so many notices from the different leagues that we play in on a sports perspective, whether it's flag football, kickball. So many of these activities that bring us together on a social level have just flat out canceled. And you're not necessarily getting your money back. It might just be a credit that can be applied later for a summer league. But with the way this pandemic is continuing to expand, we're not even sure if we're going to be able to resume a lot of those activities in the summer. So I'm sure everyone's been seeing these different challenges, the push-up challenges, sit-up challenges, pull-up challenges on IG, Facebook, all these different platforms that we use, which is great. But, I'm sure many would agree that we can't wait to get back outside and do these activities. Now, I'm in Alexandria, Virginia. And, our state just issued a shelter-in-place order, I want to say earlier this week. And so that has now impacted us in very unprecedented ways. When this first started happening, my job, we've been teleworking now going on 3 weeks. So I've been working from home, but I live right by the Beltway here. And I can look out my window and see a whole bunch of people walking, jogging, walking their dogs, playing with their kids. Now you don't see any of that. I have those outlets. So I feel for the folks. I know someone on here said they have like a young daughter. I feel for the parents. Can't get out and kind of let loose that energy. But I will tell you that with our social justice ministry at church, it's impacted a lot of our planning too. Specifically, we had an expungement and restoration of rights clinic that we were going to do in June for a lot of our members, and also address employment issues. This was just
real quick, Edric, to what you're saying. I feel like Alpha Street, more than, at least I've been following them online, at least pushing a lot of their services and their energy to like online opportunities. They've been they've been a real good leader at that in terms of like well-produced Yeah, like
I go to Alpha Street too, so we know.
Hey.
I'm an Alpha Street member.
All right.
I wanted to switch gears, Nat, and bring you in, and I think also Armand, because I know you're part of the National Young Leaders Council, but as a woman who's also an entrepreneur and a working professional and an entrepreneur, but now like I feel like every entrepreneur, like we got to rethink everything you're doing. Like no matter what you're doing, if you're not like looking at the new landscape of not only how long we may have to deal with this, but then what this could also turn into, and how people are going to interact and how people are going to do things in the future. How are you thinking about it as an entrepreneur? Like now that you've had a few weeks to like digest this, like Forever Wine and Cheese, like you're a smart person, you're a peer inspiration to me. So I'm curious to like how your mind has been thinking about all of this.
It changes day to day, actually. I just have to be completely honest with you. When we were talking about how we get our news, it does not align with my self-care to watch television news, because it can literally affect, I'm an empath, so it can affect how I think or how I move day to day. I've literally just had to take it day by day and not put any pressure on myself to think too far in advance. I also go to Alfred Street, so I'm going to lean on my faith with this answer a little bit, and say that overall, I believe God is in control. You know, this would not be happening if he didn't want it to happen. I think he is using this time for us to just sit still, to connect with each other on a more authentic level. So I am not trying to overextend myself and trying to determine at this point what my next 10 steps are going to be. At this point, I'm just going to be still and wait to kind of get that direction. I mean, of course, as an entrepreneur, and I'm a social entrepreneur, and I do have a 9-to-5. I do work for the National Teachers Union, AFT. But from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you know, we just got to keep moving. You know, I've made certain provisions for a rainy day, you know, so I can only hope that this rainy day doesn't last for 12 months, but hopefully all entrepreneurs have kind of put some kind of system in place for moments of downtime like this. But honestly, I am not stressing myself to try to figure it all out right now. Right now is the time to kind of adjust to being in the now. And then when we hear more, we'll be able to pivot, like I said, but being able to be flexible right now, but also still, I think is most important.
I'm curious, like you're a young leader, you're a young leader and a communication specialist, but how are you looking at your side hustle, but all the different entrepreneurial things you're doing, and then like even like with the new Leaders Council, I'm curious to like how that's still coming together, like in this time of social distancing and all digital.
I feel like right now is a time when, with everything that's going on right now, you know, to first start off, I think this is something that we all we could not have prepared for anything like this. When you look at everything that's going on, every single business and every single aspect of life that we know has been affected, from the media to the way we interact with individuals, our jobs, careers, entrepreneurs, medicine, education, everything has been affected. So I know I was talking to one of my older frat brothers earlier this week, and he was one of these type of guys from the old school who would always say, you know, you always got to be prepared for something. You always got to be prepared for something. And he even said that, honestly, you know, this is one of those times, no matter how hard you could have prepared, you would have been prepared for this. So I feel like this is a time when, if you are trying to prepare for the next phase of all this, which is when all this will pass, you can do that, but we really don't know what's going to happen next. It's kind of like going down a dark hallway where there's no light at the tunnel. You don't know.
I feel like we all know we'll get through it, but we're assuming how people are going to be. Like, I'm assuming think about what we're doing right now. Like now we're doing all this digital like conversation. Like so much of our economy, like, are we going to be trained into something Temi hit me about earlier? Like we're such a consumer-based economy, and we're a consumer-based economy. We're economy in a country and a nation, specifically in America, that's built on gathering together and groups gathering together, and like being able to push trends and so forth. And I just feel like so many of our small businesses are getting hit. Like we have to rethink, like, how do we become producers in this economy? Because now that people know they can get all these different things digitally, at least people who can participate in that level of the economy, they're going to start to do that. Businesses are going to readjust, like, well, why was I spending this kind of money if I'm able to find some level of efficiency in this level? Believe me, if there's this dollar to be saved, they're going to do that. But then there's also all the people who got left in terms of the low income and so forth, who got left in, like to Nicole's point, don't have the broadband aspect, aren't in the banking and digital economy. Like, I just feel like this is going to push a lot of different divides differently. So I'm curious to, like, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. What you guys are mentioning.
Well, look, if I could jump in, and I want to kind of offer, I think, an extension of what we heard so far. I honestly want to say to people, like, this is not a time to give up, because we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the tunnel. But the one thing that we can control is ourselves, right? And so I can just tell you, with all of the years of experience I have and all the things that I've done as a researcher, you know, I've learned so much stuff about myself, things that I wasn't really doing to live up to my maximum potential in the last 3 weeks. My social media game has gotten better. You know, I was just telling, in my job at Brookings, you know, I should be writing op-eds. I published my first op-ed just a week ago, you know, only because the time has given me the opportunity to sort of rethink who I want to be when it comes out of this. And I'm not saying, you know, as a person also of faith, that you look at this and you say, okay, when I come out, I'm gonna have this business. But you got to remember, I think to Cam's point, it's going to be very different. Target just doubled the salary of their employees to provide their essential services. Delivery services cannot actually hire enough people to actually do these food service deliveries. Are any of us in this room thinking about what app, what's the next app, what's the next, you know, temporary service, what's the next this? And I think as people of color, we have to, you know, even in the health disparity side, like, what's the new idea for ensuring that people have mobile health care? I've worked on these regulatory issues from infrastructure to telehealth. Now, all the regulation has gone out the window. And all I know is when this is over, those things are still going to stay. So have we thought about what our role is in some of those industries? So I would just say, from a personal level, stay woke, stay engaged and energized. Figure out, who do you want to be when you come out of this, which is what I'm doing right now, even with my kids. Like, as a parent, what do I want to be as a parent that I wasn't doing? The biggest thing, and I'm gonna just leave it here, right? So I went out and bought this big old soccer goalie for my backyard for my daughter, because I'm getting sick of my kids sitting inside playing video games. So my daughter looks at the soccer goalie and she like, what'd you do that for? There's no league. I was like, so you can get your butt outside and start playing. Then I went to get out of the shed.
No,
you know what I mean? I got out the shed, a kickball. I said, now go outside and play kickball. And you know what she said to me? This is fun. Right? Like, they don't get it. These kids don't get it. But part of that process is them experiencing that. That's my point.
Can I jump in? I just want to say, I want to say two things. One, you know, the fact that American economy is majority consumer, that's not on us, right? That's really about capitalism in our country, and like how we literally have outsourced everything to China and to other countries because it's cheaper manufacturing. So right now, one of the main reasons why we're suffering is because we're a consumer-based economy. We don't produce anything. So the fact that even if the disease was, you know, started in Wuhan area of China, we're still asking China for masks and ventilators, right? Like, but we don't produce shit. And then on top of that, if I go beyond like the shit that's like not within our sphere, because that is our country and capitalism. And I will add that like the Cuomo brothers are huge capitalists, and I don't necessarily, I follow Chris on CNN. I'm sad that he got it, but like they're capitalists. But I've never seen Governor Cuomo talk so much socialism in the past month. everything he said was socialism, right? So like capitalism has failed, and like until we have a real conversation about capitalism, we're not shifting anything. But then beyond that, when I'm talking about like businesses and Black people as entrepreneurs, yo, we're human. Food, shelter, water, we always gonna need that. The way that we get those things have changed over time. And so if you see like right now, who's thriving? The people with the delivery service, right? Like it's not, we didn't change. We still eating food, right? We still drinking water. We need these things as humans. And so these are commodities that will always be necessary. And so the only thing that changes is our interaction with them. So before we go to the grocery store, then people, I mean, like I was ordering groceries before the epidemic happened, right? But now like, everybody's ordering groceries. And so if you didn't have a delivery service, that crippled your business. And so I think that we have to be realistic, one, about the systems, and then two, about like, yo, what's safe? Okay, cool. If I'm not producing, let me go back. A tried and true is we're human. We need food, shelter, water. So if we need food, shelter, water, what's changing in that industry that I can capitalize on?
That we can capitalize on and jump on and be a part of. I'm curious, one quick question. Everybody give me just a quick round robin question to get everybody involved. We've been inside 3 weeks now. So there's got to be a place, there's at least one place that has come to your mind that like, as soon as this shit is over, I'm about to bust a quick move, hop on the metro, Uber, drive, however I'm getting there. I need to go to this one place I'm thinking about. What's the one, I'm curious just real quickly, what's everybody's one place or top place that they want to go to as soon as it's over? Like for me, I know the move that I'm kind of annoyed. Like there's been some really nice days and my golf game has just been kind of getting there. I'm trying to go to Haynes Point, just like the little driving range joint, put my little $7, get my 50 balls in, and get my little 45 minutes of like workout. Because it's gonna take me years to get better. And I'm just salty that I feel like I should be able to do that because it is social distance, but it's closed down. So that's the one place I'm gonna go as soon as if it's still warm when they can get out of here.
For me, I'm a huge cigar head. Like I really love smoking cigars, and unfortunately, I can't really smoke cigars right now unless I go outside on my back deck. So, when all this blows over, I would love to like call up a few of my boys, a few of my frat brothers, and say, hey, yo, let's just go to a nice cigar lounge outside on the patio and just smoke a good cigar. Because I think like today was a nice day and it was sunny as hell, but it's like I can't go nowhere. It's like, man, I gotta be in the house. So that's the big thing I want to do.
For me, I would like to go back to Orange Theory, the gym. Yeah.
No, I feel you. I love Orange Theory. Like it sucks that gyms are closed, and if you don't live in an apartment, even a lot of apartment buildings have closed their gyms.
They're closed too. Yeah.
Like you can't even use your apartment building. So it's like, unless you got weights at the crib, you're doing one of these online. Who else? Cliff, where you want to go? Where you trying to?
I said for me, man, it's Sweet Home Alabama. Yeah, it's Sweet Home Alabama for me. I can tell you, yeah, man, Sweet Home Alabama. I'm originally from Huntsville, and I've been up in DC for 10 years, so I don't get a chance to go home very often. And the coronavirus hit us personally because my brother turned 30 this year, and we had been planning a surprise birthday party for him since like October, which is my birthday month. And we had to cancel everything. We had over 50 guests that were going to come in, venue plan, all that stuff. So I'll go and see the fam, man.
So I got two places, Cam. One is I cannot wait to get to Atlanta. I have a 2-year-old nephew and an almost 1-year-old niece. I missed my nephew's second birthday. It was this past March. So I can't wait to get down there, play with them, go outside, do that type of stuff. The other place is I'm also the chief of staff at a church here in Cleveland. And I've still been there recording the live stream, but an empty church is not the same. I cannot wait till the first Sunday back.
For
First
me,
Sunday back and be lit.
So for me, my people are in New York. In fact, they're right in the middle of New Rochelle. So I have not been able to see my family. My mother is sitting in Westchester County. She wasn't able to come up. So I can't wait to see her and to see all of my family. We lost an aunt down there. She's going to be funeralized by herself because of the National Guard down there. So this hits personally with all of my friends, and thank goodness for Facebook. But before I see them, on a lighter note, I can't wait to go to Atlanta, Maryland to see my hairdresser. I miss her tremendously.
You look great. Nicole, you look great.
I'm just saying, I'm not a hair person. I'm just going to tell you, I wasn't paying attention, and now I have a daughter and we both struggling over here. But, you know, on a superficial note, that's where I would love to go to first, to just sit down and get my self-care. But I can't wait till I can get on the road and drive down 95 to go see my people and touch them and give them a hug. It's just been way too long.
No, I feel that.
Yeah, for me,
I would say, oh, go ahead.
For me, I'm a musician, so all our rehearsals and performances and everything were canceled. So I can't wait to get back with all the musicians in jam. We're trying to do it virtually, but it's really not the same. So I miss that. And of course,
I'm curious about that real quick, Andrew. To your point, like I'm actually working on I'm working on 2 projects. An organization that has a technology similar to Zoom to be able to try to monetize and do something around like voter registration digitally. But for a musician that like performs, are you able to even practice with like other musicians? Like, are y'all doing virtual practices, or the timing off? It just doesn't. Like, how are you scratching?
Usually, a lot of the videos that you see, if there's people that are playing together, somebody spent probably 5 days locked in somebody's basement putting all that together. So the best way to do it is there's apps you can get like acapella, and each person can kind of record like their track, and then you play on top of their track, and then kind of splice it all in the video. But with Zoom and Skype, there's always a little bit of a lag, so it's hard to play together, but you can like give lessons, or you can kind of like demo different things. But trying to put something together over Skype or Zoom hasn't really been that successful yet.
Curious. What else is everybody else trying to go?
I would say I miss a brunch and a day party. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
I'm
hear you.
born with it. All right, so a brunch. I want my avocado toast. I want my bottomless mimosas, and I want to go to a day party. And I want my Afrobeat. I want my soca. I want my reggae, and that's it. Like, I'm older, so I want to be in bed by 10. Like, done, roasted and done. Roasted, danced out and done.
I agree with her on that.
Jermon, where you headed? Where you headed when this is all went up? Man, first of all, brother,
Sure.
Broccoli Fest. Corona. What? Broccoli City Fest. I'm sorry. I got it. Broccoli City Fest.
Got my ticket too.
Broccoli City, like getting pushed back is. But I know it had to be. But I'm just mad. Like, this would have been that time.
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing to consider is, well, first and foremost, that is the first place I'm going. Once we're out of this is Broccoli City Fest. But one thing that people don't consider here is the impact to the live events industry. You know, you're talking about a ripple effect that has impacted not only our event, but the vendors, the ticket vendors, the the booking agencies. Like, booking agencies right now are dissolving because their business, their revenue model is percentage based, and it's all
It's based on tickets sold.
It's predicated on being able to book artists for live shows that aren't taking place right now, and everybody wants refunds, and so you're seeing this huge ripple effect that is really it's going to reshape the industry. I mean, because even when we're out of this, you got to think of the psychological effect
Exactly.
that this is going to have. Exactly. So
how long is it going to take till people want to get together, enough people want to get together,
right? So think about well the thing about BC Fest is I want to say for us, I think the saving grace is going to be we're outdoors, we're an outdoor festival, so I think people will feel a little more comfortable knowing that, hey, I'm in the elements. I can escape a sneeze or a cough, from someone next to me, versus being in an enclosed space, like a 930 club, you know, and being sort of packed, you know, and on top of each other. And so, you know, how do you encourage that person that it's safe to attend an event, you know, in a space like that? And so yeah, I think that'll be the most interesting piece of all of this for me. But you know, yeah, we're right as of right now. You know, we've been rescheduled for October 4th, so hopefully we can maintain that date. I mean, we're praying that we can maintain it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping. I'm not only hoping that we can maintain that date, but that Broccoli City Fest. That I'm glad to hear what you guys are doing with the bringing. You said like the master classes and those things online, because like Broccoli City is it Broccoli Con, Broccoli City Con, or Broccoli Con?
The conference, yeah, and Broccoli City Festival is on. Yeah, that and the festival is only one. Yeah, sorry, Cam. I was gonna add that the festival is only. I was gonna add that the festival is only one piece of what we do. So yeah.
No, I can't wait to like that brings so much energy to at least to the DC area, but I think just to the culture as a whole. So to make sure that goes off. Like Natalie, where's the first place you can't wait to get to?
I'm an introvert, so you know, well, let me preface this by saying there's a difference between wanting to stay in and having to stay in. But I'm an introvert. I actually like entertaining at my home. So the first thing I want to do is have a game night or something where I can just have everybody over the house. We can have a little potluck, a little drink, and enjoy each other's company.
Where are you trying to go? Where you need to get? What's the first thing you need to do when this cloud and veil lifts?
I want to get to the beach, but I also want to, you know, I was supposed to have a baby shower that is not happening now. We're trying to figure out like a virtual baby shower, which is not the same. Thank you. So, you know, I was really looking forward to seeing all my people in one place, you know, and having an event where I was able to see them, but I definitely want to put eyes on my people and see them in person. We've been doing a lot of what we're doing right now, but it's nothing like seeing your people in person and making sure they're all right. And I think that's the first stop when this is over.
No, I feel it. I kind of wish I'm jealous of the people who got to leave immediately or left early and they just went to their people's house or their family or like, yo, I'm just locked up. Like, I wouldn't mind being locked up with a little family as opposed to being in a transplant city. I envy all you all with children and wives. At least, no, some of it, because part of the time, I know y'all are now teachers now. So actually, I don't envy y'all. Everybody with children that now has to deal with mad people running around the crib at 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like waking up super early. Like, actually, I don't envy that. But anyways, who else did I miss? I think we got everybody there. Last thing I wanted to wrap up, because we're getting close to 8 and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Something else that this is the brand and the platform is Hip Politics. It's really about mobilizing the political power of hip hop, and which the hip hop music genre, like there's something that in this time I've leaned, at least me personally, I've leaned a little more heavily on music. Like I've been doing a lot more devotionals, and I've also been trying to listen to a lot more music, especially after that first week, trying to deek. To your point, Natalie, I don't know if I'm an empath, but I do like taking on all of this is just like, yeah, I need to separate myself and stay with a more positive mindset. So I've been listening to a couple different albums here and there that have just been keeping me motivated. Can we end? I want to end with kind of doing a round robin where everybody answers like what one song or album that you're listening to over these last few weeks that is helping get you through, and then just quickly just say your name, what you do, and if you want to throw out your social media or one plug, like don't tell me all the programs y'all are doing, just like because all y'all got 17 different programs, and I understand that. That's the problem of doing these panels, because it's like, damn, everybody got like 3 things they promote. So, but I'm curious. I'm gonna start off with Edric. Like, what one song or album is getting you through, and then just a quick introduction to yourself.
Yeah, I'm a big Eric Bellinger fan, so he just dropped this new album, Scenarios. I've been jamming that for like the past.
Hold up, I didn't know Eric Bellinger had big fans, but keep going.
Hey, Shade, my G, check him out. But yeah, Edric Lamar Kirkman, check me out on IG, BamaBoy86.
Hey, Temi. Well, no, Timmy's talking. Nicole, real
Okay.
quick. Temi, you going? Yeah, Temi.
Yes. All right, y'all. Rotimi. I feel like people be trying to like underestimate Rotimi from because he was on Power. Yo, he's the bomb. He's about anyway. He has 2 albums, and y'all can hate. I don't care because I love him. All right.
Hey, no, Rotimi.
Yo, he got 2 albums. So I mean, he has 2 albums, and my favorite songs right now are from his. One is Sip Slow and Fall Back. And they're both from both albums. Get it. Stop playing. Don't like Dre. Yeah, he was Dre on Power, but get over it. He's the bomb.
Andrew, what you listening to? What introduce yourself to the people?
So Andrew Lee, follow me on Twitter at PL Watcher, on IG too. I've actually been listening to a lot more jazz, so like Wynton Marsalis, Coltrane, Real Smooth.
Okay, yeah. No, that's keeping your mind at ease and like probably in a more open, creative space. I feel it. Anybody else? No, what were you gonna say?
I can't wait for a top party though when this is all over. If you what's up with that old times, Cam?
No. I'm definitely trying to Cliff. We need to like that's how 10 Friends comes back, bro. Like we got people want the 10 Friends reunion as the rooftop. But the hard part is timing. Anybody who's trying to throw a party, every promoter who has a promotion body like bone in their body is trying to figure out the timing because it sucks because unfortunately a lot of these smaller venues and clubs and restaurants and stuff you would go to, all of them are closed or almost all of them are closed right now, or in some of them if this shutdown lasts too long, I know in DMV, and I'm talking to my friends in Chicago, LA, other places, if it lasts too long, these places might even be here when we get back. And so it's like the place you wanted to have this like, because we know those first couple parties are going to be lit, like people just going to be wanting to get outside. There's money to be made. There's connections to be made. I just think that's gonna happen. Even if people but
you all can come to my house though. Come to my house. So my son was supposed to graduate this year, and his graduation was canceled. So the venue, I had to cancel the venue. So we're having in July, August, when this is over, a big old barbecue in my yard, old school, big pits, DJ, dance floor, tents, LED lights. So I'm inviting everybody over. Okay. So I'll make sure y'all get invitations.
Dr. Lee, I'll be there. I'll be there.
And for music choices, just so you all know, in my house, we listen to, when we get all frustrated with each other, my partner, my kids, he and I outdance the kids to some old school hip hop, 90s, Pete Rock, CL Smooth dance competition up in my house. So I'm just telling you, it's going to be on when the barbecue is out. We having it old school, neighbors, everybody. Not going to be as big as the Brockton Center Fest, but it's going to be a hometown party at least.
Hey, I'm claiming my invitation to that.
Please, come through. I'm telling you, my poor child, no graduation. I don't know what to say. Trying to pick a college virtually, it's been awful. So I said, we're gonna party you to school, okay?
I feel that. Nina, what you doing? What you listening to?
I'm listening to Nipsey Hussle. That's like
Hustle and Motivate. Hustle, you on that Hustle and Motivate? I suggest everybody. I
love the whole album. So.
That whole album.
I love his whole last album. Yeah, the Marathon. Yeah. So.
No, I feel it. Who did I not get to? Did I get to Jermon? Natalie, did you go?
I didn't. I'm listening right now to Janae Aiko, her new album, Chilumbo.
Yeah. It's a little nasty, but I like it.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. Who else? All right, go. Yeah.
So I know for me, I've been listening to a lot of Anderson .Paak and his band, the Free Nationals. They have a really dope album. So I've been listening to a lot of that, and a lot of the different battles that have been going on, on IG. I've been checking those out. And this Sunday, I'll be tuned in to the Teddy Riley and Baby.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that joint might be
Teddy Riley is going to win.
That might be like that. I'm actually excited about that battle.
Yeah.
They each doing 20 songs. Like I'm actually going to tune into that. These battles have been kind of my thing. Jermon, what you listening to, brother? Like, what's kidding you through?
Yeah, so I've had a variety of just vibes going on right now. One, of course, is the late great Nip. So kind of going through Nip's his entire catalog. Nip was an early supporter of Broccoli City back in like 2010.
Did he perform then? Did he perform then?
He didn't perform, but he did. He did join a few panels discussions that we did. Yeah, we were doing Earth Day panels back in like 2010 and 2011 in Cali. So he was a big supporter back then. So yeah, listening to Nip. What's another one? There's a radio station called Selection Radio, which
yeah, I'm a big Selection person too.
Yeah, so it's on SoundCloud, and Joe K, he's a DJ, and he just plays a mashup of different music from various genres. It's amazing, so check it out if you get a chance. But those are like the two, I would say, musical vibes that have been getting me through. So
Cliff, what you listening to?
Man, a bunch of gospel music when I'm working out. Been on the Kendrick, We're Gonna Be All Right. The Jada, We Gonna Make It, stuff like that.
all of the super classic, like, how am I gonna push through this? We Gonna Make It has one of the hardest opening bars of all time. Like, I kind of want to put it up in my office, and because we can have cursing, I might turn this into like a painting. Like, imagine this: fuck the frail shit. Like, I love the way that starts off. Like we gotta. I don't know. I feel you. I might actually need to go listen to that as soon as this is over. But Delora, what are you listening to? Oh, you're muted. I think you're muted.
I'm back.
Sorry.
I'm a little bit. I love podcasts, so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and not so much music. But I will say that I have been checking for all of the Instagram battles. I'm a little bit of a hip hop head, and my husband always teases me about it because he's just like, "How I get married to a woman that loves hip hop this much?" I love it. I absolutely love it. I love all kinds. I love trap. I love everything. So that's what I usually listen to. And but these battles have been amazing. I mean, we were talking about Broccoli City Fest and not having the ability to go out to these live venues. This is as close we're gonna get to a live venue right now. So I've really been
in the comment sections that go crazy. Like,
oh my God. Yes. I mean, it's amazing. So just having that access to artists and watching them in their raw element, just putting out what they love to do, it's just been fantastic. So that's what I've been listening to.
I feel it. I think, was that everybody? Yeah, I got everybody. I kind of went through. Well, with that, I want to thank you all again. This has been another cool experiment, some fun times. A couple things I wanted to throw out there as we come up and wrap up. Hip Politics podcast. Make sure you follow us, hippolitics.org, hippoliticspodcast.com. We got the merch line going right now. That's the only way we're kind of staying in business. because we had some live events. We just did our first live podcast in front of like a couple hundred people at the American Vote Summit. We had a couple other live events planned, so those had to get postponed. So it's like trying to figure out when that first one or two things should be good and people are going to not only come out and support it, but like want to come out, like like to your point, psychologically, when are people really going to, I know they said we can, the social distancing is lifted, but do I really want to go to this happy hour? Do I really want to go to this event? Do I really want to go sit down next to people in these closed venues? So it's just, it's going to be an interesting time. But in the meantime, we got a ton of live content coming out. This is going to be the last iteration of the Hip Politics Happy Hour like this. I'm going to shift it. We actually got a few different partners we're going to shift this to only 2 times a week for the next couple of weeks, but touching on some things like student loans, Black and Latino relations, entertainers, and we got a couple cool live guests, cool guests that have already RSVP'd and going to be a part of this. So I'm really excited about like what this platform, like, because I wouldn't have done this had we not been locked in, and I'm only doing it until we're not locked in anymore. Sorry, but so this is like quarantine like they got quarantine radio. This is quarantine conversations in quarantine, but it was good to see everybody's face, like to get a little dialogue. Again, everybody here is official. We were all shared on the email. So if you need to connect about anything, I please highly encourage and stamp everybody on this call, if you need to connect about anything that's going on. I definitely want to keep tapping into everybody's brains. Like, please stay healthy. Like, I've been not feeling that well personally. I went and got a COVID. To be honest, I went and got a COVID-19 test today, was able to finesse that. It was kind of weird because I was like, man, I did have to pay a certain amount for it through my telehealth medicine group.
What test did they do?
They did the
all the way
nasal.
back? All the way back.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a 2-second thing, and I filmed it. I'm not gonna put it out on social because it was weird, but
were you uncomfortable? They said it hurts. It didn't hurt.
Like a 2 or 3 out of 10, with 10 being the most intense. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, it's uncomfortable. It immediately like made my eyes water, and like I had to see a few times because like they leave it in for maybe only 2 seconds, like a 1,000, 2 1,000.
So was yours an antibody test? Did they say it was an antibody test?
Well, when you get your results?
That's the thing. My results are like 4 to 7 days because the lab is so backed up that whoever they're using, the lab is so backed up. So I'm ultra quarantined. Like, I'm not leaving the house and doing anything.
Welcome to DC.
It's not getting no pickup, no anything. So I ask y'all, pray for me, pray for.
We're gonna pray for you. We're gonna pray for you.
It's more about
Cameron, first of all, you don't got COVID. It's smokers. You got smokers' lungs right now. If we're being honest, you good, my dear.
With that though, maybe who knows? But I wasn't feeling well. But everybody who know me on this is like
fingers crossed.
But I say that to say that the one point I wanted to just to leave on is that it kind of puts you in a mental place where like we're being inundated, all of us, with so much of this information, so much as it's all like the anxiety level is high. Like I wouldn't get it because I had the means to do it, and I didn't feel well for a few days. But knowing people who are stuck in places where they can't, like, socially distant, like I'm working with some clients and people who are dealing with the homeless population right now, and just like both in New York and other cities, and like how they can't socially distance. Like so many people who are going to be left at like so many people who are just who are really like they can't get away from this, and it's not only are they going to get it, like it's going to be harder for them to treat it and overcome it. And knowing like if I just got to sit down for a few days with the flu or something, flu-like symptoms, it's like I can get through this hopefully a lot better than other people. But it's just I recognize that pressure that we're all under. So I'm glad. I just wanted to get these kind of conversations going, trying to put this good energy out in the world. and really just kind of keep connecting people, because like we are going to have to keep moving forward. We are going to have to keep pushing on. So with that, I want to thank everybody again. I got through my glass of wine throughout the course of this, and I had another sneaky drink, so I forgot through mine.
I've had like 6 mimosas.
Right. I gotta go cook dinner, so I had lemonade.
Well, this was just my water cup. So, but I did get through a little half a glass of wine because I took some medicine, so I didn't want to like be drinking. With that note, I appreciate everybody for logging in, for coming in. This has been another edition of the Hip Politics Happy Hour Culture Conversations. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bottoms up. Appreciate it. Keep following the platform. Keep making sure you're following people, like all the dope things you guys are doing. Support us, hippoliticspodcast.com. Look out for our upcoming culture conversations on the Hip Politics Happy Hour. And with that, I am ending the live stream.